Hi, I'm Bob Nystrom.
Hi, this is Bo Dietl.
Hey, this is Rich Big Daddy Salgado.
Hi, this is Don Goodney, and you're watching Sports Biz.
Sports Biz.
Sports Biz with LD.
Sports fans, this is Sports Biz with LD.
Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis, brought to you by the Daily Blue in our new sprawling studio. You gotta love it. And on my right, instead of on my left.
We had to switch it up, Larry.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. Well, you said so. We did it. Is Andy, our producer, our intern, or not intern anymore, as Glenn would say, an executive assistant.
I was just about to say that since we're at the Daily Blue, I'm an executive assistant today.
And then where are you wearing at Daily Blue?
I'm a co-producer. Just ask Mike.
Mike and Rob behind the cameras. Let's get right into it. Deflate-gate. Everybody's talking about. You don't even have to be into sports. Everybody's talking about Deflate-gate. Now, if you want me to tell you a little bit about it, I will. I would think everyone knows about it by now. The deflating of the balls. They're saying the ball's supposed to be at 12.5 ounces.
12.5 to 13.5 pounds per square inch.
Okay.
And what they were saying was that the balls were deflated 2 pounds per square inch less. So you're looking at about 10 pounds per square inch, which is going to have a much different feel than a ball that's properly inflated.
Well, it's just probably like 15-20% less of the field.
That's not my forte, but that sounds about right.
Okay, so let's get back. Let's take a step back and let's go over how it's done. So basically what we've learned is the NFL, each team has 12 balls. They have their own balls, and you also told us they have kicking balls, so they're separate.
Right.
Let's move the kicking balls out because we don't have to talk about them because they have nothing to do with Deflate-gate. Or maybe they did, but no one checked those.
Right. And 2 hours and 15 minutes before each game, the referee crew inspects the balls.
What does that mean? They touch it, they feel it?
They make sure that the balls are properly inflated.
So that means they actually like a tire gauge kind of thing? They stick it inside the ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then later on
then they give the balls to the sideline.
And supposedly they're locked away. And somebody must have gotten into...
Wait a second. Locked away, what does that mean? You know, like Tom Brady said that he and every quarterback says they get to touch the ball, feel the ball.
Well, they get to warm up with a certain ball. So most of the balls that those teams bring in, they bring in balls that have already either A, been used, or B, is preferred by the quarterback.
Okay, so those 12 balls aren't the brand new balls out of the box.
Right.
Those are balls they have already. And then they're left on the sideline. And then like when you'll see the guys on the sideline, you see like Manning a lot in between, series throwing the ball around and Brady. So does that mean that they could pick the ball that gets used on that series or no?
They can give the ball back. And the center can also say, we need a different ball, and the ref will go get one from that team's sideline.
So in a way, like a baseball pitcher throws the ball back to the umpire and says, throw me another ball, no problem, he throws him another ball.
Exactly.
Okay. So now what happened is, I forget his name, on the Colts, he intercepts a pass right before halftime.
Right.
Now, the way it went is he decided to keep the ball as a memento because he had an interception in the championship game against Tom Brady, throws it to the sideline, right?
Yeah.
Gives it to someone on the sideline who feels the ball and realizes this ball is not right, and then calls up the GM of the Colts, and then he calls the NFL and puts he calls the NFL and says, listen, I'm not good here, there's a problem here. And now, one question I'll say is if these refs touch the balls all the time, like they're touching the balls more than anybody probably, right? Didn't in that first half not any of the referees feel the ball? Again, 20%. Difference. None of them even realized that until they were told.
It's kind of like when you're filling up your tire at the gas station. After a while, you can definitely feel a difference. So you would think that in a situation like that, one of the refs would have figured that out. But you can also go with the argument of it was the heat of the game and they weren't they weren't paying attention
Totally
to that.
can't even see that argument. That doesn't fly at me. The heat of the game, baloney. Their job is one of those. Their job is to keep an eye on that, and it's a touch and feel. Like you're giving the example of the car tire, but I'm not touching it. I am touching that ball, and the feel of 20% less air in that ball. You're feeling it. You're knowing it. That's the whole idea of it.
I'm in a complete agreement with you. You can feel that difference. But when you, like if you're playing football on Thanksgiving and you have a ball that hasn't been pumped up in a while, you know that.
That's a good point, right? And you're out there in the cold. And then you brought up the center. The center won't really care. I'm not saying you did, because wherever Tom wants. So now let's get to the press conference, right?
Yeah.
So now you have Bill Belichick, who, he looked the same as he always does. He's a very good poker player. No matter what, because
one of the guys on the fan yesterday called him Richard Nixon in a hoodie. I got a good laugh out of that one.
Richard Nixon in a hoodie. You know something? So he's up there, Bill Belichick. He gives his speech. He says, "I don't know nothing." He did the Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. It was an old show. I don't know nothing. I don't see nothing. I don't know anything. And in one way, I believe him when he says that I've never had anything to do with the balls. I don't even know what the balls are all about, the 12.5 pounds. I believe in a way that he's never even got involved in that. And he also said in all his years of coaching, he doesn't remember even touching a ball during a game. I believe those few things.
And then he said the two words that might blow this open. Ask Tom.
Right. Then it seems like, in a way, he didn't even try to cover anything for Tom. He pretty much said, I don't know nothing about the balls, ask Tom. Now, in one way, yeah, you're right, but on the other way, what is he supposed to say? He doesn't touch the balls, he doesn't know anything about the balls.
Right, but he does, by saying ask Tom, that's almost like saying my quarterback might know something about it.
Okay, so
which is going to put Brady in a bad position.
Let's ask Tom. Let's bring the cover of the New York Post on Thursday. I mean, you gotta love it.
The New York Post is notorious for great headlines.
I mean, I gotta love this.
They win the day.
His wife, who is the beautiful
Gisele Bündchen,
one of the top models in the world, if not I think she's like the most expensive model. She gets the most money. Tommy, why did your balls go so?
You can't even say it without laughing.
That's good stuff. That really is good stuff. You gotta love the Post. I told you how to bring that in. So let's get to Tom's press conference now. First thing, I don't know who did this. I don't know if you know this. The press conference was supposed to be today, Friday, and they moved it up. Who moved it up? Did Tom Brady move it up, or did the Patriots, the NFL? Who moved the press conference up?
I heard nothing of anybody saying, let's move it up, that it was...
Oh, so I'm telling you something you didn't know.
You're telling me something that's new information.
Yes, it was moved up from Friday to Thursday, meaning yesterday. First question, I think somebody said, can we say Tom Brady's a cheater? So the first question, right off the bat, someone asked him that. It doesn't look good for Tom. Because who else would care or touch the balls than the quarterback?
Right. Those are the footballs that he's throwing around in practice and in the game.
Throwing. Exactly. That he's throwing. I don't know.
And he went the Belichick route too and said, I don't know anything about it. I don't inflate them. No, that's not my deal.
Let's get back to that. Right. So let me ask you this question. If you didn't do it and you're accused of anything, I don't know. My first reaction coming out is are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I didn't do it. How can you accuse me of doing it? You want to fight for your name.
Yeah, it's like if you watch any interrogation video and they say, your name came up in this. What? Are you kidding? I didn't do that. Most people immediately get defensive.
And the other thing is, where's Bob Kraft? Where's Robert, Mr. Gillette? Where is the owner of the Patriots defending his brand, his league, his team?
Not a word.
And his players?
Not a word.
Where is he? It reminds me a little bit when we had the Bully-gate last year on the show. I was always yelling, where's the owner of the team? Where is manager? Where's the GM of the Patriots? Where is everybody? Is everybody doing the Roger Goodell since the Ray Rice injury, like Roger Goodell? And where's Roger? It's another one. Where's Roger?
I think he's got his head in the sand waiting for this investigation to go so he can then come in like the White Knight and say, hey, look at everything I did.
Well, we'll get to Roger Goodell in a second, what he should be doing. But, again, my point is, if you didn't do it, I think you'd have a whole different body language. I think you'd have a whole different wording.
You'd be a lot more defensive.
You'd be a lot more defensive. again, so you go back to Belichick, cool, calm. He really didn't change his mannerisms at all. So you never know if he's telling the truth or not. And then, Andy, let's get back to, it's not the first time. Nobody gets caught the first time. Whether you're speeding, red light, any of those things, don't tell me it's the first time you ever did it and you got caught. So, and what about if you go back to, they had the Spygate.
Yeah, so now this is 8 years down the road, and they get caught with Deflate-gate now, or Deflate-gate, after Spygate. So you have to wonder, did they maybe do that in the time between 2007 and now?
Right, you would say, have they been doing it all the time? And no one said anything. And then you go back there, so they had the Spygate, they had this.
And the Super Bowl 36, where they were filming the Rams.
Where they're filming the Rams. Very good. You bring that up again, too. So they've done things to always, quote-unquote, get the edge, but is it illegal? So now you get to the point, well, is this jaywalking? Or is it, like Tom Brady was saying, we didn't kill anybody?
Yeah, that quote I think he took a little too far by trying to compare this to ISIS. That's a little excessive.
Well, again, think about where it's come from. These are media-savvy people, Andy. So the way you're saying it is you think it's excessive. In Tom's mind, you go, guys, let's go. They just want to blow it over. So
Naturally.
It's easy to blow it over and bring up ISIS, right? And bring up murder and bring up these terrible things that he's right. You can't compare. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not comparing that. No one ever brought that up. You did, Tom. So it just seems like, and then let's get to some quotes from other people. What did Troy Aikman say?
Troy Aikman said
Troy Aikman, 3-time Super Bowl champion, one of the best commentators out there, right?
And he said that it's got to be on Brady, and that can't be a Belichick thing. Jerome Bettis, he said this is
Jerome Bettis, running back, Steelers, not a quarterback, because I want to differentiate that, because to me this is really more of a quarterback question.
Right.
But go ahead, what did Jerome Bettis say?
Jerome Bettis said this was Tom Brady's chance to say, yeah, I did it, I made a mistake, and he didn't, so I'm a little disappointed in him.
So Jerome Bettis is saying he did it, and he should have just said, listen, I did it, I'm sorry, it won't happen again, and let's move on.
Right. And then
Okay.
John Madden, famous coach, won a couple
John Madden, one of the greatest announcers of all time, one with the Raiders, one of the greatest pitchmen of all time. Besides being one of the great coaches,
Boom.
he's on so many different things he advertised on during his run, and of course he's got the Madden game, which is probably the #1 game in the country.
Yeah, he said that this is all on the quarterback. It would be the quarterback who's controlling the ball, and that would be what would his preference be.
And then Mark Brunell, who played 15, 20 years, is also on ESPN. He also said, no doubt, it's Tom Brady.
This is going to look really bad for Tom Brady. And he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback, regardless. But this is going to be something that people look at and say, how long did he do
Another
it?
thing, Andy, is anyone out there, besides saying we're making a big deal out of it, defending Brady? I mean, nobody.
No.
There's not a player out there, even his teammates. Let's get to that. Is there one teammate who's come out and gone, what are we talking about? I mean, what is the big deal here? Nobody. So that whole Patriot organization is doing the Roger Goodell. Is hiding. They're not talking. And now let's get to the commissioner. Now let's get to the Saints. The New Orleans Saints, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, when he suspended Sean Payton for a year.
Let's talk about what it was, because everybody doesn't know what it was.
Okay, so basically
Bounty Gate.
How it went down, the former Saints defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, was offering his defensive players money to hurt opposing offensive
Now,
players.
supposedly they say that's been going on in the NFL for years.
And it very well could have.
Right. Okay.
But after that came out and the NFL did their investigation, the head coach got suspended for a year. Williams got fired, but is now the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Right. So now Sean Payton got fired. Head coach gone.
No, he got suspended. He's still the
How
head
long?
coach.
No, how long was he suspended for?
Just for the season.
A whole year. And he lost millions. Okay, the guy was a $4, $5, $6 million a year coach, maybe $8. Okay, so not just for a season. That's big dollars here we're talking. Okay.
Now he's still
the GM
the head
got
coach.
suspended for X amount of games.
Yes.
Greg Williams at the time got an indefinite suspension, which means, I don't know, don't call me, I'll call you suspension. It ended up being, I think, a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the players, I remember next jet, Jonathan Vilma was involved,
Yeah.
right? So the players got. And the fine was how much? Do you recall or no?
I think it was $500,000.
Okay, so now here's the problem with the money. Okay, Okay, you find a team, not a player. You find a team $500,000 or $1 million.
It's
you
chump
know
change.
something? It's $10 to us. I'm sorry. That doesn't mean anything. When these franchises are worth billions of dollars, you find $1 million is nothing. Now, did they lose a draft pick or no?
I don't recall.
Okay, so now the thing here is, what is Roger Goodell going to do? Now, coming off the Ray Rice, where it was an embarrassment for the Shield, the NFL Shield, and for Goodell. Goodell got away with it and kept his job. Let me tell you, this one, he's not keeping his job depending on what he does here.
He's had a really rough
And now
year.
he's had a rough year, but now he's got to calm down. Now, is it fair that he's going to have to calm down probably harder to make up for him being weak? Yes, but I don't even know, and they haven't talked about it. I haven't heard guys talking about $1 million to me is not enough. Okay, because $1 million, like we discussed, doesn't mean anything. A draft pick, depending on the level. First thing, do you take away? Now, didn't the Patriots lose a number one in Spygate?
The Patriots did lose a number one in Spygate.
Now, that's talking. Take a number one from you, but then on the other hand, you take a number one from the Patriots next year, would have been the 30th pick in the, how many teams are in the NFL?
And the Patriots also do better in the later rounds anyway. They've statistically done better in the draft.
True, but that's not the point.
The NFL out of 32 teams, they're getting one of the last picks in the draft.
Right, so that doesn't have as much. So do I suspend Belichick? Yes.
Do you suspend Tom Brady?
You're the boss. You're in charge. I'm getting that in a second.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have it under your watch. You could tell me you don't know. Just like, Sean Payton might have said, I didn't know anything about the Bounty-gate with the... I got that. But, you're the boss. You're in charge. That's the way it goes. The good and the bad goes with being in charge. One's under your watch. So Belichick's got to be suspended. It's got to be a year. I mean, you really got to calm down hard here, my opinion. Brady, a year. I mean, you really have to destroy this season. And a pick, and people are going to think I'm crazy, and like millions of dollars, not $1 million. You think I'm out of control?
No, and that's going to be that could potentially be the NFL's version of the death penalty in college, like we saw SMU get in the '80s, and Penn State nearly get after the whole Jerry Sandusky thing.
Right, now all of a sudden everything's okay, and he gets all his wins back, and we act like it never happened, which I don't really like. We'll get into that another time. I don't really like that whole thing. So, and I know I haven't heard anyone talk about what level it should be at. And that's where I think it's got to be.
And they're going to wait until after they do their investigation because there can't be anything without an investigation.
How crazy do you think it is that as of yesterday's press conference, and this happened on Sunday, everything came out Sunday night, Monday morning in the world of 2015, and what happened with Ray Rice? Tom Brady said, no one has called to me yet. Now, one person from the NFL has called me. And how about the kid who was on the sidelines and they kept showing on TV, who the referee threw the ball to? And I'm not saying I'm right, but my guess would be, is that the ball boy who handles the balls? Because that's who the referee threw the ball to, and then you see him, you didn't see the game, you said he went running to the sidelines and put the ball wherever the balls go. I don't know. Did we talk to him?
If people are going to be looking at him and thinking, who said to him, do this? Because you can't expect that he's going to deflate the balls on his own.
And Andy, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult. It seems like it's basic stuff. The referee looks at the balls, and then he hands them to who? He's handing them to the same person on the team whether it's a different person that week, you know what I mean? Maybe the guy's not there every week, but I assume he is. He's handing the balls to the same person on that team every week. Everything is the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not difficult for me to say, ref, what happened? He tells you what happened. Who'd you give the balls to? Okay, I gave him to Andy. Andy, sit down and talk to me. Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, today's Friday. And then, okay, now the kid's
probably scared to death. Like, I'm going to
whatever it is, he could be cool. Listen, he can end up being like what was Bonds' trainer who went to jail instead of Dis Bonds?
Greg Anderson.
So, but that craziness. But how difficult is this? It doesn't seem like it's a big thing. I could have interviewed those three people in an hour. Come down to the NFL offices on Park Avenue tomorrow. Tom Brady's like, okay, Tom, I'll come to New England. No problem, Tom. I'll give you the respect you deserve. I'll come to your house. You too busy? No. This is the NFL call. This is your job. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I don't know. This seems like it's just making it too difficult. And, they don't want to mess up their big thing by coming down and suspending these guys for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, especially because that is their biggest game of the year. And you have one of your biggest faces of the game playing in it.
And I would say that if you watch Brady throwing that game, he did not throw well. The ball was a little wobbly. the balls weren't right on the money. They're leading guys. So that advantage that they said they had an interview of him a couple of years ago. He does a show on I think it's EEI or EII in Boston, a weekly show.
WEEI.
Okay, with those guys, and he made, and they asked him, I don't know how they got on the subject, and he said, I like the balls deflated. That doesn't make it a bad thing, but he likes them deflated. So we got you saying that's how you like it. Okay, again, nothing wrong with that. And that's how, I guess, in a way, if your head you feel you like it, you play better. And it's a little easier to catch because the ball's a little softer.
Yeah, especially when it gets cold, the ball gets slick, and it feels like a block of ice hitting your hands.
Yeah. So there is a lot here. We will continue. There's so much more we want to talk about, but those are the things right on my mind as we speak. Let's jump to the game last week, the Packers-Seahawks game. Okay? Because I just, a game like that, of the magnitude of how they lost. And there's a couple of plays in that game that, everybody's trying to figure out what was the play that was the difference.
A lot of people are talking how the Packers had the ball at the end of the game, like 5 minutes to go, and Rodgers didn't throw the ball on third down, which would have essentially iced the game. And they ran the ball.
Only if he threw it for a first down. He had to get a first down. You
Right.
can't just say that.
Of
He
course.
wouldn't have iced the game if he didn't get a first down.
Right.
So.
But assuming that Rodgers, the way he had played for a good portion of that game, completing that pass and getting that first down.
But I don't agree with you because you're saying that. But, they were never playing aggressive anyhow. The first two series in the game, they were on the goal line, and they didn't go for like a 4th and 1, a 4th and 2. One of the plays to come back to that, Mike Daniels, one of the offensive linemen, no one's talking about this, okay? Mike Daniels, the offensive lineman, on the first series of the game, it was 1st and goal at the 4. He runs 20 yards down the field to get in one of the Seahawks' faces, gets slapped with an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and instead of being 1st and goal from the 4, it's 1st and goal from the 19.
And
that just said you're not getting a touchdown. That just put you in a position of you're going to get a field goal anyway. No one talks about that. That's one of the plays.
And, I was actually reading an article in the Post last week. Phil Mushnick wrote it, how he was talking about...
Phil Mushnick, good friend of the show.
Yes, he is. He was talking about all the unsportsmanlike penalties that we saw in the college football playoff and in the NFL games.
Another good point, right?
And nobody brings it up.
And no one brings up right. Look what I just brought that up. Look at that. And I just brought that up, and that cost him 15 yards, maybe a touchdown. Just the way you're saying maybe he would have got that third down pass. Now, before the first down and third down. Now, before that was the play everyone's talking about that they got the interception, and that one of the other players on the team, Julius Peppers, told him, go down, go down. When you go back and look, they said he could have ran 20, 30 yards. Another play is, this to me is the play. Everyone goes to the onside kick. Now, if you looked at that onside kick, that particular player who didn't catch the ball, he was supposed to be blocking. Right behind him was Jordy Nelson, who was one of the sure-handed guys.
Right.
So you could look at that. Now, speaking of Sean Landetta, a friend of mine, he said to me, Larry, I hear you. No, he said to me, I'm telling you that was the play he was supposed to block, but the problem is at the heat of the moment, he went to get the ball. But after that game, whether it was this big a game, whether it meant the game or not, he said he would have been chewed out by the special teams coach saying, that's not your job. Your job was to block. So everyone's going on that play. I'll go back to the fake field goal.
Yeah, that's a turning point again, because how often do you see a fake field goal actually work?
And I'm sure they said, watch out for the fake. That's great to tell everyone that. You got to have a guy playing center field. The guy was an offensive lineman, 300-pound guy who got past everybody. He's wide, all alone. And there's not one. If there was one guy back there playing center field, okay, even though it was, say, a 30-yard kick, what's the difference? One guy, but you're not blocking the kick anyhow. You don't even care. You're not looking to block the kick.
Right.
Let him kick the ball, have one guy back. That, to me, is the biggest play of the game.
Yeah, because when you think of it, that's a huge momentum turner. Hey, we just got a fake field goal. That's going to send everybody crazy, and it's going to put momentum back on your side.
I would think so. And then they do and then you go back to, this to me wasn't as big, but number one is the fake field goal to me. I don't go to the onside kick. That's 3 to me. Number 2 was the 2-point conversion where they get Russell Wilson out of the pocket, and he goes all the way to that sideline and throws the ball all the way to the other side of the field, which you're always told never to do, but he had no choice. It took about an hour to get there. No one bats the ball down. The guy catches the ball, they get the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, it was like the replacement ref game all over again. It could have been that could have been a situation like that where the play almost developed the exact same way.
Right, exactly. It developed almost the exact same way. So then they got that and the momentum. And then listen, Aaron Rodgers does what Aaron Rodgers does, bring him right down the field. They tie the game. And then we go into overtime. So it just seems to me that game will go down in infamy. Now, I should know the player's name. Do you know the player's name who botched the onside kick?
Brandon Bostic.
Okay, so Brandon Bostic. Can I throw this comparison out? You always say I'm crazy anyhow.
Sure, I won't call you crazy yet, but go ahead.
Bill Buckner is.
It's a stretch. If you want to keep it in the terms of the sport, we can go Kyle Williams in that game against the Giants where he bobbled the punt and Jaquan Williams picked up the punt.
Right, but I don't see that one.
You can go Leon Lett holding the ball out like this and having
which
Andre
almost
Reed.
happened in what game was that? Wasn't that in the collegiate championship game where he was going across the goal line and let the ball go?
Yeah, he was one step away. You can compare it to a lot of things. Bill Buckner is a decent comparison, but I think keeping it more in the realm of the sport that you're playing is a better way to compare.
Okay, it's a little technical there. There's so much to talk about. I want to lead on one last note on a sports business show. Fred Wilpon, the owner of the Mets, okay, guy who lost his money to Bernie Madoff, had to get a loan from Major League Baseball, spends no money on the Mets. They're one of the laughing stocks in baseball. Is now the head of the financial committee for Major League Baseball from all of the owners. This is the guy that they picked who's financially not sound in his own personal stuff, and they picked him to help Major League Baseball, a $9 billion business?
I'm going to throw some Yiddish in here. Oy vey.
I mean, are you kidding me? Major League Baseball. Now, who got him in? Was that the last thing Bud Selig did before he gave way to Rob Manfredi? I'd like to know who appointed him. I don't know which one it is. Well, that's it for this show. Gotta go. It's amazing how quickly it goes. Andy, I appreciate you being on this week.
Thank you, Larry.
Always love to have you. Let's not forget the Stony Brook Ice Hockey. Still doing those games. When's your last game? You got a couple games left?
We have 4 more home games left. We have February 6th and 7th against Rutgers and February 14th and 15th against Lebanon Valley, right here in Hop Hog at the rinks.
Rutgers I've heard of. Lebanon Valley I've never heard of.
It's somewhere in rural Pennsylvania.
Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis. Thanks to the Daily Blue. We will see you next week.